time story, son, is prophetic. Encrypt the signals from the shadows of the garden. We dig where the dirt got secrets, no parting. Microphone alchemist, scriptures with a twist. Peep the frequency, seeds in the mist. We drop bars like plagues, revelations in the cadence. Broadcasting truth while they trapped in surveillance. Wisdom with a watchman's blade. Fourth watch style while your whole system fade. Blood moons, nephilim, echoes in the pine. Sasquatch stomping through the fault lines of time. We ain't mainstream, we ancient stream. Cipher with the prophets, decode the dream. So if you tuned in, better guard your mind. It's broadcasting seeds and we breaking the design.
I'm Benetton, and this is Broadcasting Seeds. Tonight we are digging into a chapter of history that most textbooks treat like a footnote, and most bureaucrats pray you never read past. You have heard the official story. The United States scooped up a handful of German scientists after the war to help beat the Soviets to the stars. The end. Roll credits. But that is not the full reel. Not even close. Here is the itch we are going to scratch. What happened to the ones who did not end up in glossy NASA yearbooks or polite museum plaques? The doctors with interesting hobbies and no conscience. The logistics men who knew how to move people and money without leaving fingerprints. The ideologues who learned to swap uniforms for lab coats. Some fled across the oceans, some hid in plain sight. Some may have walked their skills straight into new institutions with new names and familiar goals. If the battlefield did not end, it adapted. It went private. It got better lawyers. I'm not here to sell you a fairy tale. I am here to follow threads, declassified memos that read like nervous confessions, rat lines that ran through ports and parishes, remote colonies in South America that looked more like compounds than communities, and modern research corridors where the language of optimization hums louder than ethics. We will ask hard questions about how a wartime mindset can survive inside peacetime systems. Rockets, you have medicine, behavior, science, data. If you want to know where a ghost went, watch where the money breathes. If you are new here, welcome. If you have been riding with us, you already know the drill. Bring a healthy skepticism and a working conscience. I will give you receipts where they exist, patterns where the paper trail thins, and clear lines where the facts stop and the open questions begin. No fluff, no scare theater, just a straight walk into the dark with a flashlight and a notebook. If this show helps you think sharper about the world you live in, do the simple things and keep us alive. Like the episode, share it with a friend who can handle uncomfortable history, and drop a review so the algorithm does not bury what should be on the surface. That is how this show grows and how these conversations stay public. You ready? Let's open the first door. Section 1. Beyond the Rocket Men, the Ghost Network. When most people hear Operation Paperclip, they of course think of Wernher von Braun, the smooth-talking rocket man who helped build NASA's Saturn V rockets and put America on the moon. History paints him as a good Nazi, which is a strange sentence and to even say out loud. But for every von Braun who made the headlines, there were dozens who didn't. Dozens. Men and women who specialized in fields that didn't look quite as heroic in a recruitment poster. Biological warfare, chemical experimentation, human endurance research, interrogation techniques, the ones whose work didn't need a launch pad, but a locked door. When the war ended in 1945, the Allies weren't just scooping up people, they were scooping up ideas. Paperclip wasn't about mercy, it was about monopoly. The U.S. wanted rocket technology, the Soviets wanted bioweapons, and the British just wanted to make sure no one else got ahead. But as the official transfers began, a darker operation unfolded in the background. Men disappeared from POW camps. Families got fake passports. Vatican rat lines, yes, real term, funneled Nazi officers through monasteries and into safe houses in Italy, in Spain, and finally South America. Argentina, Chile, Paraguay became the new coordinates for the Ghost Network. Now, I'm not spinning campfire stories here. Declassified OSS and CIA memos from the late 1940s confirm this under-the-table movement. One memo mentions Project Redskin, a suspected pipeline moving scientists of interest into South America under private agricultural cover. Translation: they were farmers who somehow knew too much about nerve gas and atmospheric testing. The goal? Keep their work alive. Some of these men later reemerged under corporate aliases, consultants for early chemical conglomerates, energy research firms, or agricultural labs that looked suspiciously like miniature fortresses. You can find faint traces of their work in patents that'll pop up decades later. Synthetic hormones, metallurgical advances, even strange cryogenic experiments that feel ahead of their time. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Paperclip wasn't a cleanup mission. It was a merger. The moral war had ended, but the technological one, it just never did and never has. The Allies didn't just absorb the scientists, they absorbed the ethos, results over ethics, progress over humanity. So the next time someone tells you World War II ended in 1945, I want you to remember, wars don't end. They just change format. The battlefield went underground, and some of the generals learned to wear lab coats instead of uniforms. Section 2, South America's Shadow Science, the Hidden Laboratories. After the smoke cleared over Europe, something strange started happening in the Southern Hemisphere. Argentina, Chile, Brazil, countries suddenly overflowing with European immigrants who all happened to speak German, had engineered backgrounds, and carried suspiciously fresh passports. Coincidence? Hardly. Welcome to the underbelly of post-war science, where jungles replaced laboratories and Nazi fugitives turned lost causes into secret enterprises. In the 1950s, whispers began to surface about compounds deep in the Andes, isolated communities that flew no flags, but bristled with armed guards, radio towers, and oddly modern medical facilities. The most infamous of these was Colonial Dignidad in Chile, founded by Paul Schaefer, a former Nazi medic and child abuser who built an empire of silence. Officially, it was a religious agricultural colony. Unofficially, it was a fortress, a self-contained microstate, complete with underground tunnels, interrogation rooms, and ties to Pinochet's intelligence services. Eyewitnesses and defectors later claimed the colony hosted strange experiments, radiation testing, psychotropic drug trials, and studies in human endurance, eerily similar to wartime research in Dachau and Auschwitz. Children were separated from parents. People vanished into medical wards and never came back. And when Pinochet rose to power in the 1970s, Schaefer's colony conveniently supplied both intelligence and interrogation training, blurring the lines between old world fascism and a new world dictator. But Chile was not alone. In Paraguay, researchers connected the escaped SS doctors who ran clinics studying population health, a phrase that even today can hide all kinds of moral just rot. Brazil's jungle towns became landing pads for Luftwaffe engineers working under assumed names, allegedly consulting on Cold War aircraft and chemical agriculture programs. Even Perón's Argentina openly welcomed German specialists, giving them new identities, salaries, and a reason to keep their mouths shut. Fast forward to now, and you'll still find unsettling fingerprints, abandoned facilities filled with Cold War medical equipment, unexplained cremation pits, reports of unmarked planes flying in and out of remote valleys, registered to biotech or pharmaceutical companies. The facade has just evolved. These enclaves weren't just hideouts. They were incubators. The same men who once tested limits in concentration camps found new playgrounds beyond the reach of Western ethics boards. And the research, it didn't stop. It just adapted. Gene editing, population control, psychotronic weapons studies. All echoes of projects buried in the archive, labeled classified. The jungle didn't just swallow these men, it protected them. It gave them a place to continue their work and maybe to seed something new entirely. Section 3, the Silicon Reich, from eugenics to algorithms. So let's bring this ghost story into the present. Because the jungle camps and Cold War safe houses may have rotted away, but the ideas those lived on, they just evolved, got Wi-Fi, and started wearing Patagonia vests instead of SS uniforms. The Nazi obsession with optimization of humanity didn't die in a bunker. It got rebranded. What was once eugenics became genetic enhancement. The dream of creating a perfect, compliant population got recoded into AI-driven data models, predictive analytics, and social engineering programs that shape behavior one click at a time. The old tools were scalpels and syringes, but the new ones are algorithms and microchips. And in both cases, the goal was, and still is, control. Take modern biotech and behavioral science. Companies now talk openly about editing out undesirable traits using CRISPR to perfect the human genome. Sound familiar? You can find eerie parallels between 1940s racial hygiene lectures and 2020's tech conferences. They just replace Aryan with optimized and unfit with inefficient. The language is smoother, but the logic is the same. And what about AI? Predictive policing? genetic risk profiling, and social trust scores. What? Already exist. In some parts of the world, your data decides whether you get a job, a loan, or even medical treatment. The machinery of discrimination has gone digital. It doesn't need jackboots when it has data sets. Some of these systems even trace their intellectual roots back to Cold War human behavior modeling projects built on the ashes of paperclip era psychology research. Minds like Kurt Lewin, Gunter Dorner, and others who studied how to make populations comply. It's comfortable. It's uncomfortable. But follow the trail of money and you'll see the same motivations. Fear, efficiency, dominance. In the 1940s, it was the fear of degeneration. In the 2020s, it's the fear of chaos. Both gave birth to systems that claim to improve humanity, but quietly deciding who counts as fit. If you strip away the PR gloss and Silicon Valley glow, the DNA of Nazi science, it still hums in the circuitry of modern tech and biotech. The battlefield just upgraded its operating system. Instead of marching armies, it's deploying code. Instead of propaganda posters, it's dopamine loops and digital nudges. The control is cleaner, quieter, and infinitely more effective. The uncomfortable truth, Operation Paperclip, may not have even ended. It may have just simply gone open source. So where does that leave us? If the first paperclip brought Nazi scientists into American labs, the second one, the invisible one, may have brought their ideas into our everyday lives. From the smartphones we cradle like relics to biotech startups promising eternal youth. The same old drive for dominance, control, and improvement keeps resurfacing, just under shinier branding. The war didn't end. It just changed uniforms. But here's the good news. Awareness is the antidote. Once you recognize how systems evolve, how language softens evil into innovation, you can start to push back. You can choose not to let history's ghosts design the future's code. The point of broadcasting seeds has never been to sell paranoia. It's to plant critical thinking in the soil of mystery, to remind you that truth isn't always buried. It's often hiding right there in plain sight, wearing a badge that says progress. If tonight's episode made you think differently, do me a favor. Hit that like button, share it with someone who loves peeling back the layers, and leave a review wherever you listen. That's how the show grows and how independent voices like this one survive the noise. I'm Ben Tanton, and this has been Broadcasting Seeds. Stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, some roots run deeper than they look.
They said the war was over, but the shadows never sleep. They traded flags for lab coats, secrets buried deep. Whispers in the jungle, smoke beneath the trees. Science built on silence and deals made overseas. You can still feel it beneath the wires, the same old
A promise wrapped in steel and steam. Truth got sold in a government trade, and every line of code's a gray. They didn't die.